Hi everybody! So I bought something from China, and today we're going to see if it works. Welcome to the Renaissance Builder! Alright, so to be more specific of what this thing actually is. It is a very generic soldering iron with a hollow tip. Right here you can kind of see it's hollow, and a solder sucker built into it. I got to figure out how to get the solder sucker out of it, actually. So normally when you want to desolder items, like let's say I want the transformer or the capacitors or whatever off this here circuit board, I could take a normal soldering iron and some solder wick and basically use copper wire to suck up a lot of the solder. It just wicks it up. Or I can take a solder sucker, which is essentially a spring-loaded reverse syringe. So it springs open. And you push it down, you latch it, you heat up the solder till it's soft, and then you put this down over it and go think, and it sucks up the solder. Like literally sucks it up. So all of the ones that I've seen are decent quality, but they're also separate items. So you have both a soldering iron and a solder sucker. Well, this just it combines both of them. So there's many points that this could completely fail at. Like this thing could completely fall on its face, alright? So it could be such a crappy soldering iron that it doesn't actually get the solder hot. That's a possibility. It could also be such a crappy solder sucker that it either doesn't work or breaks shortly after you start using it. For example, I don't even know how to get the thing out of its mount here. Like you have to... Is this it? Do you just spin it? You have to get the sucker out so that you can empty it. Because it does suck solder up in there, and it's kind of important to get that out again. But it looks like I'm going to have to figure that out. Well, more importantly is to see if it actually works. So what I'm going to do, whole point of today, is to find out whether this thing actually works or not. I'm going to start by the tip is pretty generic, and it does not look like it's been tinned or anything. So I'm going to start by tinning the tip. Now, why would you tin the tip of something that's going to remove solder? Well, because oftentimes to melt solder, you need better surface contact, which involves adding solder. So that's a thing. So I figured it's pretty self-explanatory. I don't know what the wattage is on the soldering iron. I'm going to figure somewhere between, oh, I'm sorry, right there it is. It's a 30 watt. It's written right on the back of the thing, and I just wasn't looking. So yeah, it's a 30 watt soldering iron. Well, that's at 50 hertz, so it'll probably be a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more at 60 hertz. You know, maybe like a 35 watt soldering iron. I don't know. The build of it, well, I mean, come on. It's from China, so what do you really expect? It's like super cheap molded plastic. They didn't even bother to take off the mold lines or anything. It's really nothing snazzy at all. But if it works, then it will be snazzy. So I'm going to get this thing plugged in. That's the other thing. It does not have an on and off switch. It's literally on when you plug it in. So that could be an issue. But we're going to go ahead and plug this thing in. And I'm going to tin the tip on it. And then I guess we'll get started sucking solder. Well, as I've done in soldering irons previously, I guess I should start by going over what it's like. Well, the quality is mediocre. You're certainly not, and I didn't pay very much. It took, oh Lord have mercy, it probably took a good 3 to 6 months to actually get the thing after I paid for it, and I think it was like 30 bucks or something like that. It really was pretty cheap, but the build quality is, well, the build quality is cheap. I mean, what do you expect? So there's not a whole lot I can say about it. It's pretty generic plastic that holds everything together. There's no aluminum. The only metal pieces on it are the shaft of the sucker and the metal pieces up here. And one thing that I pointed out that's kind of important when you have a soldering iron is a place to put it down, and this does not. So, you know, we have our silicon build mat here, which is heat resistant, but that's about it. That's about all we got going for us. So I already have this plugged into my outlet over here. The other thing that I mentioned already is it does not have an on and off switch. So if I need to unplug it quick or turn it off quick, I have to unplug it. So whatever. I got my soldering shenanigans going on over here, flux and stuff, and I figured I would start. I already have it plugged in, and you can see it off gassing a little bit. Whatever shipping stuff in here is going about its business. And I figured what I would do is I would start by tinning the tip using my my tip tinner. So I'm just waiting for it to heat up currently. And if you guys are going to use something like this, obviously you would want to, you know, build some kind of soldering iron stand for it or something. I don't even know if this is hot enough yet. But, let's see. Nope. It's going to take a while, so this might end up being a fast forward event. Okay, so it looks like it may have finally heated up enough to actually do this by now. That is one of the biggest pet peeves I have with these low wattage soldering irons, is they take so long to heat up. Alright, so let's just tip this down in here. See how it goes. I think my first problem with this is going to be the heat. Yeah, this thing just doesn't have a lot of heat to it. I don't know, maybe if I wait longer it'll get better, but it's just really, it's barely even getting the tip tinner on it. Getting the tip tinner melted down and on it. It's really pretty disappointing. All right. Let's see if it'll melt solder. All right. It's melting the solder. That's fine. Looks like we got a little bit of solder up in the tip. That's fine, because again, it's supposed to suck it. Okay, at this point, we're going to cock the sucker. And what do I want to desolder? Let's start something small. That's got a bit of solder to it. Oh, screw it. Let's start with something small like these here diodes right here. So I'm gonna get this down on here, let it melt good and proper, and maybe it's gonna take a couple times. 'Cause that didn't. I mean, it did a bit. It did a bit. Give it some time, and yeah, you can tell it sucks it up. Yeah, alright, now let's do the other side. Alright. So with that, let's see if we can pull the piece out. Oh, it worked. There it is. You can see it. Pulled that little diode out. Cool. It's at least functional. Alright, let's go with something bigger now. I still need to find out how to get inside of this thing. So the other problem is going to be care. Other solder suckers don't have a long snoot that they need to pull up. I mean, this does come with a little cleaner, but I mean, I could see that being a problem right off the get-go. But let's go with something bigger. Alright, let's go with Let's see if I can grab one of these here IGBTs, or maybe even, could I grab the transformer? Do you think I could get it? That's a big old chunk of solder. Oh, Lord have mercy. There it is. Nice and clean. Pulled that off like a champ. I am not disappointed. So there's one more thing I want to do. Like this was okay. So far this thing has proven to be really good for capacitors and small components. I'd really like to try something heavier. So what I have is this may just be too heavy for it. I have this here. This is a power filtration board, and I'm not exactly sure how much it's designed to handle, but I believe it's 220 at, well, it actually says right here 6.3 amps at 250 volts, but that's only on one end of it. I believe it's off a machine that used 30 amps at 220. So it's a pretty good wattage. So there's that, and I also have this piece of machinery from the 8,000 watt or 6,000 watt power supply that we took apart. And on this here transformer is a high frequency transformer that I'd really like. It's a high amperage, a high wattage, high frequency transformer that I would find very useful. I'd like to try and get that out. So, gonna do some, I guess we'll do some playing around with this and fast forward and type stuff and get a better camera angle. Nope, not even close. Okay, so as you saw from the footage, this thing actually works pretty darn good on small components like small capacitors and diodes and resistors and shenanigans. It works pretty well on that. But when it came to large blobs of solder and what appears to be, like, I don't know, this might be a different kind of solder with a higher melting point because of, I don't know, reliability, or maybe it's just a higher quality solder. But this stuff, it just doesn't have the juice to get it, which is disappointing. And I don't know, maybe I can super juice it somehow, like make it hotter or something. Maybe, I don't know. It's not like it's got a lot of room to give. Make this thing too much hotter and it's liable to blow up on you. But either way, it does work. On small components, if all you're doing is tearing apart like radios and stuff and small components, I'm going to call it homeowner grade components like radios and stuff, then it's fine. It actually works pretty well. It's convenient. I'll give it that. So I'm going to say I did not waste my money on this thing. Thankfully, because my wife would kill me. She wouldn't kill me completely, but point is, soldering iron, honestly, I don't even have a link to give you guys at this point. This was one of these things I just found surfing the internet, and I was like, I'm going to try it. If I find one, I'll certainly throw it up in the comments. So, for what that's worth. But yeah, if all you're doing is looking to, remove small components and stuff on homeowner grade equipment, or machines, then this actually works pretty well. I still have to figure out how to get it apart. I still am not sure about that. I'm sure it has something. Oh, there it is. Hey, I just figured out how to get it apart. Okay, well that's going to be good for cleaning purposes. What's this? Is this supposed to be some kind of silicone check valve or something? Ooh, that's hot. That is hoot. It's just a silicone seal. Alright, that needs to cool down. And this is probably... Oh, Lord. This has stuff in it. Does this unscrew? It does. Which is good. Alright. No, you know what? That's fine. Smack out all the schmutz. It's not even that hard to service. Look at that. Cool. So, there you go. If I find out where to pick one of these things up, I will certainly throw it in the comments. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching this review of the Chinese product that I got. I'm actually pretty happy with it, believe it or not. If I can make it hotter, you know what I probably will do to get some of this hotter stuff is just use a separate soldering iron. So kind of more or less the old school way, but at least in this case, I can add some heat to the entire equation. So that's not a bad thing. So yeah. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. I really appreciate it. This is the video of me trying out my new lighting. So these are the new lights. So I'm going to be playing for the next few videos. I'm going to be playing with the lighting and see how much better I can make it and all. So if you have any comments about that or ideas, by all means, throw it in the comments. I always look forward to hearing from you guys. I really appreciate the viewership. Make sure for anybody that's new, or if you haven't already, hit that subscribe and bell icon. The subscribe and the bell. And I really appreciate it. Oh, by the way, also, it turns out, if you hit the thumbs up, it makes a big difference. So, by all means, please hit that thumbs up, and then I guess YouTube thinks the video is worth sharing more. Imagine that. Anyhow, it's helpful. Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate it. So, till next time, have a good night.
Bye-bye.